Hello everybody, I'm Silly. This will be the one-shot entitled Birthday Notes, written and read by me. Summary. Izuku gets a gift from his classmates during his second year of middle school. At first, the teen is excited. After all, he hasn't gotten a gift in years. Once he opens it, however, his joy is washed away and something inside him breaks. I am going to say some warnings before I get into this fic, as it contains suicidal thoughts, suicide baiting, notes, and death. If you are not comfortable with any of these topics, please click off now. If not, enjoy the story. The room was silent, save for the buzzing of the nearby lamp that sat neatly on the nightstand. The light was dim, casting a small hue of light around the room that faded once it got close to the door. The hue shone on the right side of Izuku's face, outlining his nose, cheeks, and lips, before turning dark as it crossed over to the left. His hair glistened a dark green on one side, his curls black on the other, as there was nothing to brighten them. His head was ducked, his Viridian eyes trained down to the neatly wrapped gift his classmates gave him that sat in his lap innocently. It was strange if the greenette thought too hard about it. Why would his classmates give him a present for his birthday when they bullied him every day? When they beat, burned, and used their quirks on him relentlessly? So, he wouldn't think about it. After all, it was the first gift he had gotten in the past 10 or so years. Izuku had gotten some things from his mom here and there, sure, but it was more necessities than anything, never just a gift. Midoriya could never really be upset at his mother for that. Inko worked hard as a single mom, and even harder than most as a single mother of a quirkless child. Even though she wasn't quirkless, his diagnosis still affected her life, so he wouldn't make it harder by complaining. Reaching a hand towards the plain white ribbon that tied around the simple red box, Izuku tugged at the bow, letting it come undone and fall to the package's sides. A small smile tugged at his lips as he thought of all the things that could possibly be in the box. Maybe a new notebook, All Might-themed merch? Whatever it was, he'd make sure to be grateful the next day at school. People were finally being nice to him. His bandaged hands reached the lid before pulling it off and peering into the box. The kid's mind went blank and his smile strained as his eyes locked on to more red. In the box lie freshly picked spider lilies, each one seemingly redder than the next. The flowers lined the bottom edges of the box, and furthermore, in the center of the container rested a carelessly tossed-in rope. The greenette's smile dropped as his mouth pressed into a thin line that dipped down towards the edges, and his hands tightened on the lid that was still clenched in small, shaking limbs. Why? Why couldn't they be nice to him for just his birthday? Izuku reached slowly for the rope, unsure if he should even go near it. He didn't want to pick it up, but his mind seemed to be moving on autopilot. So, with trembling hands, he bent his fingers around one of the ends and pulled it up. His body once again froze as he saw the instruction panel that sat beneath it. Midoriya's now misty eyes flicked over each picture that instructed him on how to tie the rope. And something that the teen was holding onto with hope inside him broke. Inko walked into the apartment and tugged off her shoes near the door as she shut and locked it. Her whole body was tired from the long day's work, each muscle straining and every bone creaking. The hospital had been busy tonight, and she was just looking forward to resting in her comfortable bed after all the hard labor. Luckily, she and Izuku had spent time in the morning before they both had to leave for the day to celebrate his birthday. So thankfully, the mother wouldn't have to stay up much longer once her things were put away in their respective areas. The older greenette yawned and made her way to the kitchen to set down her purse and put her keys away. Her groggy stride stopped just before leaving the dining room, however, as her green eyes caught on a white folded paper that sat innocently on her spot at the table. Inko smiled tiredly, realization crossing over her face as she thought of her son. She went over to the table and sat her bag down, replacing the empty space in her hand with the note. The older greenette's smile softened as she read the carefully handwritten spot on the front of the paper that spelled out her name. She always loved to look at her son's handwriting, It reminded her of all the times he would come up to her, rambling on about different quirks he had written down in his notebook. It made a warm feeling form in the mother's chest, knowing that, even to this day, he would take the time to write something down for her to look at. Even if Izuku wasn't here to read it out for her, to decipher the mix of mutterings and rambles that all worked together to form his long-winded analyzations, she would take the time to look it over. The tired woman folded open the note, her smile slowly fading as she read the neat handwriting. With each word that her beloved son wrote and she read, the paper gained new spots of tears here and there, and wrinkles under her fingers as her whole world stopped. Inko wishes she never opened that note. Alright, everybody, that concludes the one-shot entitled Birthday Notes. This one was a bit difficult to both read and write, so if my voice gets a little shaky at times, that's why. Beside that, please make sure to join the Discord if you haven't already. If you would like to get updates easier, get connected with people within the fanfiction community, make requests for a podfic, and more. There will be links to helplines in the description just because of the theme of this, and I normally put them in heavier topic videos that I do, so if you are feeling something like this, please go check those out. They are really helpful. Now, I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for listening.